It's time to break down what went right and what went wrong during this week's game. Severe Reaction is on the air with your host, Michael Severe, and the most important voice of all, yours. Severe Reaction starts now. Powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Only on 1620 The Zone.
Rolling out, stepping, gunning one for the end zone. The ball's in the air. It's knocked away. Incomplete, game over. And Michigan improves to 5-0. Nebraska now 2-3 as the Wolverines win it today, 45-7.
But we have to identify what happened and why, and fix it. So I didn't feel like our guys weren't responding. I think they were a good team, and I think our guys, if the word's hesitant from the beginning, maybe a little hesitant to go out there and some of the mistakes we made aren't the typical mistakes that we make, and that part was disappointing to be out there, even that last drive, but those things are going to happen, man. You have to battle back, so we'll learn from it.
Welcome to Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. 402-951-1620 is the number to call. You can also find us on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at MIKEL Severe, X or whatever you want to call it. You can find us there. You can also email as well to the show. And, of course, we are on StreamYard, so you can go on there and you can watch that, and you can comment in the comment box as well. But as I said, you can always call 402-951-1620. Nebraska falls 45-7 to Michigan. And as a lot of people said, both before the game, during the game, and after the game, they expected Nebraska to lose. I don't think I didn't see many people picking this kind of loss. I actually saw some people picking a cover, that Nebraska would keep it close, that it would be a defensive game, that it'd be low scoring. From what I saw, I really didn't see any big discrepancies like this. Even in the national media, I saw some blowouts picked, but not necessarily like this. We will get into the game. We'll look back at things that went right. Not that easy to find. Things that went wrong. Also, we'll get into some of the stats. We'll talk to Stephen M. Sipple about 8:30 about the game. I know he thought that Nebraska came out without the fire they should have. I always say it's hard to tell that. Not just from the press box, but just hard to tell that because when a team's getting beaten up, they all kind of look like that. And that's what Nebraska was from right off the jump. One of the first runs by Nebraska, Anthony Grant was really popped. A mouthpiece went flying. It was never really – it always was a physical mismatch, so I'm not sure if they came out without enough fire or they just got the fire immediately beaten out of them. I'm not sure. But I can tell you this. This is the best team Nebraska's going to play based off of everybody else I've seen on the schedule, although Maryland's playing very well. This is the best team, and so – this is what happens. We'll go over some of those as well when Nebraska's new coaches have met the best teams they played and what's happened as well. So we'll get into that. But first, we start off with the phones, 402-951-1620. That's where Brian is this morning. Good morning, Brian. Happy Sunday.
Well, yeah, I guess you can call it that. I went to the game yesterday.
Yeah.
No, I'm really, really disappointed in our effort. Showed no fight. That call on 4th and 1, that was laughable.
Yeah.
It was laughable.
Yeah.
That was like me as a kid trying to jump over my couch. I mean, it just looked terrible.
Yeah.
Went to the game, was there till beginning of the third quarter. Then I guess halftime it really cleared out. But I guess you kind of covered it. I'm really, really concerned with the way we came out. And I said it in the beginning of the week, just amongst family and friends, is I'm afraid we're going to concede the game, or not, maybe concede is not the right word, but just really not show up, not really give it our all. And that's pretty much what we did. And I don't know. I think you need to be pretty concerned as a Nebraska fan. You can sit there and say, "Oh, Rule, this is what he always does." Well, it should look better than this. You can say we don't have any talent, and that's probably true a little bit. but I see other teams doing it. Northwestern gave a pretty good fight to Penn State.
Yep, 2 quarters.
They do it down at K-State.
Yeah.
And they don't recruit 4 and 5 stars. So I don't know. I just I don't know what to think. So that's really all I had. I just kind of wanted to vent.
That's fine, Brian. That's why it's here. You can vent away. So you stayed to the end of the 3rd quarter. Was the majority of people around you? Did the people around you leave for the most part, or what was your section like?
Oh yeah, I was in the North Stadium, section 32.
And pretty much everybody else cleaned out?
Michigan. Yeah, I think the Michigan fans actually, they were pretty nice. They actually felt sorry for us. I mean, I think they wanted us. I think they want us to be somewhat good, and we're not.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Brian, think of it this way. Most likely, this is the best team they're going to play all year, and I think they match up with most of the teams on the schedule pretty well. So as long as they, as you talked about, come out and fight, they have a pretty good chance to win any of their remaining games. Do you feel that way?
No.
You don't?
I don't think we'll win another game.
You only going to win another game?
I don't think we'll win another game. Huh.
Wow. Okay.
Who's going to be?
Well, they're getting ready to go to Illinois, and Illinois is playing really bad. And I know Nebraska's not playing well either, but I mean, it is. They have a chance to beat Illinois. That's a chance. They definitely, and they have a chance to beat Purdue and Northwestern. No. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
Northwestern gave a better fight to Penn State than. I mean,
I know you got it. But Brian, you have to remember Penn State. I expected Northwestern to play well. Penn State came off of a huge win, and so they were going to have a letdown playing 11 o'clock at Northwestern. And then into the ending, they won 41-17 or something like that. So they still blew them out. But I agree. I know Northwestern fought. I agree, they fought.
I'll leave you with a couple things here.
Okay.
My eyeballs see what my eyeballs see.
Yep.
And I'm just going to call it like I see it. I'm very concerned about this rule. I mean, I am. I think our offensive coordinator has been saying this since the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I don't think he's any good. Defense coordinator I like, but I
understand, Brian.
Eyeballs see what my eyeballs see.
I get it. Have a better day. All right.
Okay, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. No, I get it. I think a lot of people feel that way. The fight thing is, I said this at the beginning. I will talk to Sipple about this at 8:30. And I know that by listening to the questions he asked of Matt Rule, I thought he felt that as well. And he wrote it in his story on Husker Online about Nebraska not having a fight, not coming out with a fire. And like I always say, it's really hard to get into the minds of any athlete, especially a college athlete. And I don't know if it was that they didn't come out with a fight or they didn't come out with enough energy. I watched them in pregame. They looked exactly the same as they normally look in pregame. Did all the things they did. Had fun in pregame, bouncing around, doing things. The start of the game, I thought they came out thinking that, we can challenge this team. They met up with a team, and we'll get over this a little bit later. I don't think people understand, because Michigan's schedule was so poor, the 4 games they played, I don't believe people understand how good this team is. Like from top to bottom. Whether you're talking about little things like net punting or kickoff coverage, or you're talking about big things like points given up. They're at the top of college football. No matter who you play to start the season, no matter how many games you play against the Bowling Greens or Nevadas or whoever you play, when you're number 1 in something, you're really good at it. They have a much better offensive line than Nebraska does, and the Nebraska defensive line did get some, at times, penetration. They did. But nowhere near what you would hope they would get once they get more talent and better on defensive line. The offensive line struggled mightily against Michigan's defensive line and front. Okay? Michigan had not had a whole bunch of penetration, and they hadn't done a great job of getting to the quarterback with just their front 4 leading up to this game, but did it against Nebraska. Especially that one side of the offensive line that is really struggling. And if you want to have a criticism of Matt Rule or anything else, what are you going to do about the offensive line, and when are you going to make a move and change? That's a criticism. That you can yell about, because that makes zero sense. If you have people on the bench who have played before, and you have guys that are playing who cannot physically handle it, cannot hold up, you got to bench them. That's just the way it works. So he hasn't done that. But across the board, Michigan's much better team. Across the board. They have 3 wide receivers alone that are better than anything Nebraska has. They have a better tight end, and tight end is one of the Nebraska's strengths, and they have a better tight end. Obviously, on the lines, they're better. And at quarterback, I mean, honestly, you could say maybe their 2 deep is better than Nebraska's. Maybe you go to their 3rd guy. I don't know. Harburg is a serviceable player. He's not a Power 5 winning quarterback. He's not. I'm sorry. He can do a bunch of things well. And against teams like Louisiana Tech and Northern Illinois, he's going to shine. I think he's going to have a good game on Friday night when he plays. But still, he is not the future of this program. He's just not. There's nothing about what he does that now, and maybe he'll surprise me and I'll be completely wrong, and this goes down on freezing hot cold takes or whatever. But nothing I see with Heinrich Harburg, who is a good kid and a good player, tells me that he can be a top quarterback in this conference. He's not. They need to go find a quarterback. They've got to get better on the offensive line, whether that's on the bench or from the portal or wherever. They've got to find a front 7 that can play against the best offensive lines in college football, because you're going to meet them, whether you're playing Ohio State, Penn State, or Michigan. You're going to meet them in the Big Ten, and eventually you're going to bring some more in, right? Oregon and Washington, same thing. They got to get better. There's a lot of things that got to get better. But that was one really bad loss. And every coach before Matt Rule and since Tom Osborne have had these losses. I can go down the list. Frank Solich had it at the end, right? 0-3. 2 games where they just got beat up. Kansas State beat them up. You're going to have those. First year under Bill Callahan, you saw the matchup problems. They did not have the talent. A couple different games, right? Where they just could not handle. They could not hang. That's what happens. Texas Tech beat them 70-10. Pelini had Oklahoma in 2008, where you came out the first, 4 plays of the game, you knew it was over. You knew it was over. Even though Nebraska's offense put up some points afterwards, you knew it was over. Didn't take much time to see it. Same thing with Mike Riley happened the second season when they played Ohio State, showed just where they were in that year, right? I mean, and Scott Frost had it a few times. You're going to have these matchups where you are going up in competition and it sucks. But if you've been a fan of any kind of team, I mean any kind of team, you've seen this. You know, you can think at times that your team is pretty good. You don't know until you face the best competition. And that's what Nebraska faced, the best competition. Maybe the best team in the Big Ten. I mean, I've watched Ohio State play a couple times this year, and Ohio State's played against better competition. They beat Notre Dame. Michigan has not played against that competition yet. And beat Rutgers and Nebraska in the Big Ten in a weak non-conference. But just watching them across the board, they are a dominant football team. Nebraska is not. And it's going to take a while to get there to where it's dominant. I know what Colorado has done, and they fought like heck yesterday, and they have a lot of talent. I know. Louisville's 5-0 with a brand new coach. Hugh Freeze fighting with Auburn, almost beating Georgia. I know. I've seen it. I've seen first-year coaches what they can do. I'm telling you that this team that's not talented enough to compete with a team like Michigan. It's a bottom line thing. We'll go to the phone real quick before we take a break. Let's go to Jim. Good morning, Jim. How are you doing?
Good morning, Michael. I'm doing fine. Listen, the problem that I have is, especially with Harburg, is that you cannot expect somebody to be a Power 5 quarterback when he has fundamental flaws, especially in his throwing motion.
Yeah.
And that throwing motion cost us 2 touchdowns yesterday. The first one was a deflected pass that never should have been deflected if he would have thrown the ball high and properly.
Yeah.
And the second one was he had Washington open for a touchdown on a slant. And that pass also was deflected. What? I'm sorry. What did you say?
I said slant. Yeah, I was agreeing with you. I remember the play exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I mean that was a touchdown.
Yeah.
But he can't get. You can't expect to beat a Power 5 team when you have fundamental flaws throughout your program, because if you don't correct them, they will come back to haunt you. I mean, this is just fundamental coaching. You see it when you start with Pee Wee League baseball all the way through, or Pee Wee League football. The teams that do the fundamentals and do the fundamentals correctly win games, and we're not doing it. And the other thing is our offensive line. I think we need to take a really hard look at removing Raiola. He's been there now for 2 years, and I haven't seen any improvement whatsoever in our offensive line.
Real quick, Jim. Jim, would you agree that Bryce Benhart is much better? And he had his moments yesterday where he had some struggles, but Bryce Benhart has really improved, I think, the right tackle.
Yeah, he has. But our left side.
No, left side sucks.
I'm not going to say anything else about. I mean, these kids are not. They're kids. They're players. They're college players. But I don't run down college players.
Yeah, I used the word "suck" because I don't know if you heard the press conference yesterday. Coach Rule actually used the word "sucks." That this sucks. He's talking about the loss, so that's why I was throwing the word "sucks" out there.
Well, and I agree. I mean, I think. I mean, when Rule said yesterday at the press conference that he wanted to. We have to learn what we did wrong. Well, it's obvious what you did wrong. And, I mean, Harvard's throwing motion, I blame a lot of this on Scott Frost. Scott Frost had Harvard for 2 years. Harvard went down there he went down there second semester. He played, winter conditioning and spring ball. He did not go to his second semester in high school. He was at Nebraska,
right?
And they never corrected his throwing motion. I mean, what the heck's going on there?
Yeah, I don't. It's like he looks like a baseball player the way he throws the ball, like he's throwing it from second base a lot. That's what he looks like to me.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. But you can't do that.
I know.
But then Rule had him last spring. Why didn't Rule correct it? I mean, this is not rocket science.
Hey, Jim, real quick, I don't know if you heard it in the press conference, but that Sam McEwen asked the question, and Rule openly said, he goes, we can't fix his motion. That's what he said.
I mean,
said he can't fix his motion.
I don't believe that, because all you have to do is say, okay, son, you've got your choice. You're either going to fix your motion or you're not going to play.
Right.
Because we just saw what happened. He can't beat a good team throwing sidearm.
Yeah.
And it's just, you have to do it through repetition. The only way to break a bad habit is you have to do it correctly, and you have to do it repeatedly. And whether he spends all practice throwing to a student manager, then he spends all practice throwing to a student manager. It's something that you have to make up your mind, because I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of Nebraska fans. I think that when you saw the crowd, they're saying we've been here before.
Sure.
And we're not seeing anything that's changing. Well, I'm really concerned what's going to be happening. So I can say that we did see some flashes of new talent that I thought was that we have a chance. And we also were missing probably two of our better players on defense.
Yeah, Cam Lenhart, and Luke Reimer.
Right.
No, I agree.
But anyway, listen, Mike, I'll let you get back going to your show, but I want to thank you for taking my call, and I really like your program.
No problem. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. No, I understand. There's a tremendous amount of concern. I get that. I mean, you can't stand there and watch that game and not have a ton of concern. I just believe that really it's going to take a little while. They were in a bad spot. They were in a bad spot going into this season, and I think the couple of wins over Northern Illinois and Louisiana Tech showed people that they have some talent, but they played against the best team they're going to play. We'll take one more call before we take a break. It's Random Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Michael, you're right on. I don't know if you remember how old you were. It was during the Oklahoma-Nebraska heyday, big game at the end of the year. Frank Broyles and Keith Jackson were doing it. And basically the winner of that game had a good chance of national championship. The first thing Frank Broyles said was, Keith, wish I could do an imitation of it. Keith, Oklahoma's loaded. Nebraska has one player that could start for Oklahoma. You remember that?
Are we talking the 78 game?
It might have been. It was George Andrews.
Okay.
That was our one player that he said. And I remember thinking, this is not good.
Wow.
Because I'm thinking the winner's going to win the championship. And this was that kind of game.
Right.
And the worst loss Nick Saban ever had. Was it to Nebraska, that one game?
When he was at Michigan State, yes. He back-to-back bad losses to Tom Osborne in Michigan and Nebraska.
Yeah. Yes. And he said Lawrence Phillips was the best running back he'd seen since Jim Brown. Yep. You know what Tom Osborne said to him after the game when they were shaking hands?
He said, "Don't worry, you'll get better." No, don't worry, we're really good.
Yeah, he said, "Don't take it too hard. This might be the best team we have. This is the best team we ever had."
Yeah. Yep.
And this could be the best Michigan team. You think?
It could be. I mean, I don't think their quarterback is as yes, I agree with you. This could be the best team that they've had these 3 years, and it's been a pretty good 3 years.
You don't think he's what? Because he looked pretty damn good.
There's times where I watch J.J. McCarthy play in big games, and he doesn't make throws that I think are championship throws. But no, he played great yesterday. He has played wonderful. Shouldn't criticize.
But, like you said, is there a weakness there? And I remember reading up a little bit on them and what their position players were saying. They know this is a special team.
Yes.
And they don't want to be the weak link at every position.
Right.
So, yeah, it's going to get better. And I think we're better having played them than if we hadn't.
I completely agree. I wrote that down as something I wanted to put in. I definitely think that they're better when you go against this and you see where your level is. Now you know your level and you can get better from it.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I'm a Matty Virzel guy. If Matt Virzel, and this was possible that he could have been named when he fired Frost fired all those coaches, that he could have been named the O-line coach. Where do you think we're at?
Well, Matt could. I mean, Matt's done Random Mike, I appreciate it. Matt's done great jobs, coaching high school at every level, small high school to, what he's doing at Scott now. I truly believe he could. I don't know if you're going to hire a guy who's a high school coach to be a Power 5 position coach, no matter his connection in Nebraska. Look, they did it with the tight end position, and it turned out poorly. Bringing Bob Wagner in here as a high school coach to become a Power 5 tight ends coach, that went poorly. Not saying it can't happen. I haven't quite given up on Dominic Raiola. I still believe that it's a personnel issue, and I have seen guys get better at different positions. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll be getting to Steve Sipple very soon. We'll go over, like I said, it's sometimes you meet a challenge that is greater than you, and in the end, it makes you better. We'll get into that as well. Of course, brought to you by Equitable Bank, where we take banking personally, and Severe Reaction is also brought to you by Nebraska Medicine. We'll come back with the second segment here on 1620 The Zone.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain Cold Refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Hey everyone, Josh and John here for the FanDuel Sportsbook. Week 4 is here, and we have a big-time matchup in the AFC North. It is Dolphins at Bills. These two teams, John, played in incredibly memorable games in 2022. Let's hope they do so again in 2023. And right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That means $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/1620.
And don't forget, you can bet not only the game, but also all the exciting player props, over-unders, and a whole lot more. And there's a whole lot of different combinations to help you make money. New customers right now get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place that first $5 bet. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com/1620. 21 plus in President, Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued with non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Chest high snap. Pumps, looks, holds, has all day. Rolling to the near side. There's a man open downfield. Throws to the end zone, and it's knocked away at the last second, incomplete. Or was it caught? Hell, it caught, touchdown. Thought it got knocked away. Pulled in by Wilson, who outfought a Husker in the back of the end zone for the score. Looking over the defense, gets a shotgun snap. Step throws, ball batted up in the air. Look out, and it is, I think, intercepted by Michigan. Deflected up in the air and pulled down by Kenneth Grant. Saw the ball go up, and he picks it at the 29-yard line. Tight formation. Nobody bounced left. Shotgun from McCarthy. Snap back. Gives it off to Mullins. First down. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Wolverines. Khalil Mullins squirted through. Everybody up tight to the line of scrimmage. Once he broke through, nobody there to get him, and now it's a 13-0 Wolverine lead.
Welcome back. Severe reaction here on 1620 The Zone, 402-951-1620. Kind of a short segment here before we get to Stephen M. Sipple from Husker Online. But I mentioned this with Mike. And my best analogy, when I was watching the game yesterday, I was thinking boxing, right? Because there was a big fight last night, if you follow boxing. Canelo Alvarez fighting against Jamel Charlo. And, I mean, it was kind of a mismatch going in, but Charlo felt he had the ability to be able to beat Canelo, even though he's a champion. Charlo is, considers himself one of the best boxers in the world. But there's always this situation, especially in that sport, in boxing, where you can take a step up in competition, even though it's the same weight class, even though you're in the same grouping, maybe even in the same ranking as that team. But there is such a difference when you take a step up in competition. And I thought yesterday that's simply what it was. It was a huge step up in competition. And just because that fighter makes that step up in competition and gets dominated, it doesn't mean that fighter can't be good eventually. You got to work your way up to it. A kind of an example of it, staying with the boxing analogy, is so Canelo Alvarez, earlier in his career, way back in 2013, got a chance 10 years ago now, wow, to fight Floyd Mayweather, who was the best fighter at the time, right? And I'm sure Canelo, as a young man, with the support that he had from the Mexican community and the fighting community, and thought, okay, I'm young, yes, I'm inexperienced, but I can go in and fight this guy and beat him. He took that step up in class, and he gets beaten. He gets beaten by, Floyd Mayweather. The better fighter beat him. I guarantee you that fight made Canelo Alvarez a better fighter going forward because he knew his level. He knew where he was, knew what he needed to improve. Yesterday was that game for Nebraska because I think there were people that watched the Minnesota game, right? And obviously Nebraska should have won the Minnesota game. They made mistakes to lose the game, turnovers to lose the game. But they were fighting against a team in Minnesota who was in their weight class, and they should have won the game. And then even when you look at the Colorado game, and you see how well the defense played, and you quite didn't know what Colorado's problems were going in, offensive line, not being able to stop the run, some things like that. You looked and you said, okay, Nebraska's actually in the weight class of Colorado. Even though it became a blowout at the end, you thought they were there. And then the Louisiana Tech game and the Illinois game gives you a whole nother belief of what Nebraska can be. But I don't think we really learned what Nebraska is until yesterday. That's when we learned what their level is, where they are talent-wise, where they are depth-wise, where they are in terms of skill. And at every single level, whether it's on special teams, if it's at the front, the back end of the offense or the defense, Nebraska does not have that kind of skill. People calling just to be mad, upset. What?
No, I was just telling them we're going to get Steve Sipple on shortly.
Oh, okay.
They did not want to wait around for 20 minutes.
That's fine. Back. That's understandable. That's basically where Nebraska was, finding their level, finding where they should be at this point. With a first-year coach coming off of a 4-win team last year, 5-win team the year before that, and a 3-year win team before that. You got to know their level, where they are, and this is where they are. And Michigan has been, as I said, dominant in every single stat and side of the ball so far this year. Little thing, they're third in kick return defense. They're top 25 in net punting. They were number one in yards given up, but after Nebraska got over 300 yards, they dropped all the way to 4. Number one in points given up. Still haven't given up double digits. This is there's examples of how good this team was. So understand how good they are. Look at where Nebraska is and think to yourself, there's a lot of room for improvement. And I understand the people who are upset saying, well, we have a first-year coach, but so does Colorado, so does Auburn, so does Louisville, so does other teams. I get that. I get why they're saying that. I get that. Because Colorado didn't quit yesterday. They could have against USC, and they didn't. That's prime. That's his coaching staff. Good for them. And Louisville's 5-0 with Jeff Brom. Jeff Brom went in there and took that program over and just said, okay, I can make this what I want it to be. And look at Auburn yesterday. I mean, they had every opportunity to beat Georgia. And that's Hugh Freeze's first year. So I get what you're saying. I completely understand that. But I think this rebuild is as great of a rebuild as Nebraska's had. And it's just going to take that much time. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll chat with Stephen M. Sipple, Musker Online, On The Network. I know he thought that Nebraska didn't come out fighting hard enough. We'll talk more about that as well. We come back here on Severe Reaction.
Families who travel to Ronald McDonald House Charities in Omaha are facing extremely uncomfortable situations. Their child is sick in an unfamiliar city, unsure of how to handle it all. But when they walk in our doors, they can find comfort in the little things. A quiet moment away from the beeps and buzzes in a hospital room. A calming voice saying, "It'll be okay." Help us provide the little things that make a big difference. Support a one-night stay for a family in need by visiting rmhcomaha.org/radio.
It's the Genesis Health Club's anniversary celebration sale. We're celebrating 37 years of fitness by you joining for just 37 cents and get the rest of the year for free. Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen with Genesis Health Clubs, and we're celebrating our 37th anniversary. Every day, Genesis members celebrate their health and fitness by feeling great and loving life. The better your health is, the more you enjoy each and every day. Regular exercise is the #1 ingredient to a healthy and more prosperous life. Join Genesis Health Clubs today for our 37th anniversary and join for just 37 cents and get the rest of the year for free. With a 37-cent enrollment fee and a savings to make the rest of the year for free, it's easy to get going and start celebrating today. Join today at GenesisHealthClubs.com. This time next year could be your 1-year anniversary of a happier, healthier, more confident, and more energetic version of yourself. Genesis Health Club will help you every step of the way. Join Genesis today for just 37 cents and get the rest of the year for free. Now that's something to celebrate.
The pandemic is over, but COVID-19 is here to stay. In fact, it's still among the top 5 leading causes of death in the U.S., just after heart disease and cancer. So this fall, stay up to date with the latest COVID-19 vaccines, just like you do with the flu, because you've got no time for 19. The vaccine may not be for everyone. Please consult with your doctor. Brought to you by Moderna.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Fear has a name. For 30 years, Scary Acres has been doing what they do best. Scaring the out of you. The Master's Castle, House on the Hill, and the Haunted Woods. Scary Acres, the ultimate haunted attractions. 172nd and Giles. Sponsored in part by Raising Cane, Stereo West, and Ivy. Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Heinrich in the gun, Grant off to his left. Snap back. Heinrich has some time. Steps now, holds it, throws. Pass caught. Kent at the 40, 45. Kent to the 30. Down to the 25-yard line. Not going to balance around the 21-yard line. Billy Kent. Pop free, good protection, giving Heinrich Harnberg time to find Kent. Saab knocks him out of bounds. Heinrich hands out, gets the snap, goes up and stopped. He didn't make it. I don't think he made it.
Well, it's going to be close.
Michigan is celebrating Keon Saab. The safety looks like he went up high to meet Heinrich. Officials are going to look it over, but by the looks of the spot, we did not get it by about a half yard.
Welcome back to Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. We are now joined by, from Musker Online and On The Network, Steve Sipple. Good morning, Sip. How's your Sunday morning so far?
Oh, it's been fabulous. It's beautiful out.
Well, I can tell you this based off of the first 4 or 5 phone calls. People are out on Matt Rule apparently already, and just feel that this team doesn't have a chance to win any more games. It turns quickly, Sip. Turns quickly.
Yeah, patience. I always get a kick out of talk about patience. Now, I mean, it was a tough Saturday.
Yep.
It was a tough Saturday, and I frankly, I wrote, and I think I understand where fans are coming from. I expected more. I didn't expect a win. But then, we were getting, I don't know, the conversation's really unappealing because you get into a lot of psychological kind of talk and
right.
I don't know. But anyway, that Michigan is, tip your cap to Michigan. I think they came in here to prove a point, Michael.
Yes, they did.
I think they had a lot of motivation. That their coaching staff had it set up on a tee. The Wolverine coaching staff that Nebraska is the number 1 rush defense in the country. Let's see. Let's test ourselves. So there it was.
Well, Sip, they brought 4 quarterbacks on.
Pretty well.
They brought 4 quarterbacks on the road. Who brings 4 quarterbacks on the road? Think about that. They brought 4. Nobody does that. It's crazy.
Good point.
You said, and for me, it's always tough to judge how motivated a team is or what kind of fire they have when they're going against somebody who is beating them up from the first play. But you wrote you didn't think they had fire to start the game. What did you see early on that gave you that conclusion?
Oh, getting blown off the ball right away, like on third and 1.
Yep.
Corum got it easy, got a 4-yard gain. I think it's near midfield. Then on a 3rd and 3, he got 2, and then the 4th and 1 was really easy. They got, they just ran it. So right away, I mean, listen, I get it. This conversation gets really hard for people to even understand. It seems like of course, Michigan had more talent, but Rule did reference it in addressing the question I had about his team. He said you definitely he did think they could have shown more of an attack mentality.
Yeah.
He said you really got to rip it, and I see that the thing that kind of I don't know. It frustrates me to hear people say, "Come on, Michigan's just much more talented." Well, yeah, of course they are. I mean, everybody knows that. I mean, I don't even have to be a football fan to see that.
Right.
But there's upsets every Saturday, and those upsets occur because teams decide, okay, yeah, they're better, but we're going to attack and we're going to execute at a high level, and let's see what happens. Okay.
Yeah.
And Nebraska, Michael, you can disagree. It's fine. I didn't think they were in attack mode at all.
Well, I would say this is that because I was thinking of it as, and I know you love boxing. I was thinking as a boxing analogy.
Yeah.
You can say that maybe they didn't have the fire or whatever else. I think it's just a step up in competition. I think in their weight class, they're going to look like they have fire. But as soon as they meet somebody who is much better than them, the reason they got blown off the ball, I don't think it's because as much of fire as it's a matchup issue. The other team just much better. They just have more talent.
Playing the upsets that occur every Saturday.
Oh yeah, but how many times are those upsets? And I know they happen. I agree completely. But how many times are those upsets in a situation like this? Right. So a lot of times they're like a situation like what happened with Northwestern and Penn State yesterday, where Penn State's coming off of a really big win. They got to go to an 11 o'clock sleepy matchup against Northwestern, and maybe it's close and some things happen. But this was set up, as you said, for Michigan to come in here and dominate for a number of reasons. And they did what they were supposed to do. At no point did I think to myself, this is going to be a game that's going to be close coming into it. And it was what we thought it was.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't what I thought. I'm not going to say that. I didn't pick 45-7. I picked something along the lines of like 27-13. And I thought Michigan would be in control. I thought Michigan would be in control.
Right.
They were. I didn't know they control it that easily. I mean,
they're just so it's funny because I go back and I look, Sip, and I look at a lot of weird little stats sometimes to just see how good a team is. And they were number one in kick return defense and one of the best net punting. Like, they were good in every single little stat. And I thought Nebraska's not in the little things right now. And so I thought the little things would be a big difference. But I understand what everybody is saying. I just think it's hard to take a team that's as good as they are on the front line and put them against a team that's as bad, especially at offensive line, as Nebraska is.
There's that, but there's also Michigan wasn't dominating people. They
really were. They gave up the few amount of points of anybody in college football. They really were. They just weren't playing hard. They were playing 57 plays a game. They weren't really trying to blow anybody out. They were shutting it down in the second half.
If you look at that, no, I disagree, Michael. You look at the halftime scores. You can do it. You can do it. Look at the halftime scores of their previous games, and three of them for sure. They weren't asserting themselves early like this. They didn't beat those teams like they beat Nebraska. They didn't.
Yeah, they were giving up 231 yards a game and less than 9 points. So, I mean, no matter what, they were dominating people. Look, Nebraska's not good. Michigan proved a point. I just say to myself, I don't know how much it was about fire or not thinking they can win, and as much as it was, they just got punched in the face. Even the first run of the game, go back and watch that first run by Grant. You notice the mouthpiece flying out? That was a violent shot, initially saying, this is what's going to be all day for you.
Oh, they're way better. There's no doubt about it. They're way better. I guess I just expected a little bit more.
Yeah. Stephen M. Sipple joining us from HuskerOnline.com on 3 Network. I assume you stick with Harburg? That's what everyone's saying at this point?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Harburg, I thought the offense actually showed some good things. Harburg wasn't an issue. I mean, the early pick obviously hurt him bad. And I don't know. I thought it was a good question in the post game about his arm slot.
Yeah.
How he throws the ball. That's an issue, and that was huge. I mean, that was gigantic. I mean, now you're. But I thought the first drive Michigan had was really telling too. I thought it was really telling.
Yeah.
The first drive, the way they were picking up, third and short, fourth and short, and then it started to unravel. This is what I'm saying, Michael. It started to unravel, I guess, in the first quarter when Harburg didn't get the first down on 4th and 1 at Michigan's 12.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is it should
horrible play call, like disgraceful play call.
Now we have a debate. I do not, Mike.
It's a horrible play call. This is 2023. Sip. Nobody does that anymore. No one lines up in the shotgun anymore on 3rd and 1 and 4th one. No one does that anymore. It's a new society. We don't do that anymore.
Now here's what I'm saying, Michael. Hold on. I like the idea. I like the concept of putting a 6'5", 220-pound, great athlete behind, in the gun and having him take a running start and see if he can, jump or maneuver his way to, a yard or 6 inches, whatever it was. He's the best athlete. He's one of the best athletes on the team, one of the top 3. So I kind of like the concept.
Hey, did you take physics in high school?
I don't remember.
So you know what a vector is? So a straight line, the best way to get through it is the shortest distance. So if you go back 5 yards and you have to go forward 5 yards, opposed to having to go forward 1 yard from 1 yard away, you're defeating yourself physically. It's not smart. It's just not.
What about a running jump?
Even if if it's Walter Payton back there or Marcus Allen, sure, I'm all for that. Let's jump over it. But we've learned now in 2023, you line up, you get your you mentioned it, big 6'4", 225-pound quarterback, 1 yard behind the line, and you go forward. It's just what football is now. It's not that complicated anymore.
I don't know if he would have gotten it. When he lined up initially before they called timeout.
Yeah.
Michigan stacked that middle with a fortress. And I thought they better call. My thought was better call timeout and figure out something. You're not going to get a sneak here.
Yeah, and I saw what you're talking about too. But then it's up to the quarterback to see where the strength of it is, and then when he pushes, he's got to slide either direction. I mean, it's a technique. There's a reason why, and I know I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady. That Tom Brady was 99% on all 4th and 1s, not because he was big and strong, because he saw where the weakness was of the defensive line and slid that way. That's what you got to be able to do as a quarterback in 2023. But I thought, watch it as soon as they went into shotgun, I thought to myself, what are we doing? Why? And, I just don't
anyway,
get it.
They don't get that. Michigan follows with a 9-play, 88-yard drive, and that was the crusher.
Yeah.
With Michigan up 21-0 that early in the second quarter. And I thought, once again, I thought that drive was telling. They had a 3rd and 7 that they completed easily to the tight end. That drive was easy. They only got into 3rd down, I think, one time in that drive. So again, just too easy. They made it look incredibly easy.
They crossed the 50 just 3 times, and one of them was Josh Fleeks' long run. So they crossed the 50 3 times in a game.
Yeah, I feel for Nebraska fans.
Yeah, it's tough.
I mean,
it's tough.
Yeah, it was really tough. It's really tough right now. Now, I guess the good news is it won't be tough like this again this year. I don't think. The schedule is really manageable. I was saying all week that this is as manageable as a schedule as we'll ever see again, Michael. Guys like us that are a little aged, I don't think we'll ever see a schedule this manageable for Nebraska again in our lifetime.
No, you won't. Now with adding Oregon and Washington to them, I mean USC, UCLA, all those teams, you're not gonna. It's not gonna be like this again. No.
This is as manageable as it'll ever get.
Yeah.
Now let's see if they can regroup. I think it's great. I think it's great that they're going on the road. Great. Take your 74 best players.
Yep.
For a Friday game. The week's a little jacked up. Good. A little shakeup might be good for everybody after this. And go on the road and try to regroup. I think this game comes at a good time. Actually,
I think you're nailing that. There was a question asked to Rule about, and it's a tough question. It's one of those, give me something that you need to improve on to be able to match up with a team like Michigan. I mean, that's a tough question, but let me give you three things going forward to be able to compete at the highest level of the Big Ten. Is it quarterback? Is it offensive line? Or is it purely skill players?
God, I mean, I'm always. I mean, the only way you're winning a game like that is I don't know. I'm going offensive line or line play.
Yeah,
that's what I have to do.
You're a long way away. Yeah.
/ line playing in general.
Yeah, they are. And I mean,
and Michigan. Not to interrupt, but Michigan has 4 draftable offensive linemen playing in the game, and what I've heard is they got a couple or 3 sitting on the bench. So I mean, they're loaded up front now. I don't think they're. Let's put it this way, Michael. Going into yesterday, I didn't think they were as good up front on offense as they were the last 2 years. Now they were the best in the country the last 2 years up front.
Yeah.
But after yesterday, I reconsider that a little bit. They look good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really good.
It was a weird team. I mean, they were in the 40s rushing, but they were completing passes at an 80% clip. They had more explosive plays passing than they did running, which is not traditional for a Michigan team. So they were like a weirdly different team coming into this game. So I one of the things, the reason why Colorado can stay with USC is because they have skill players and a quarterback, despite not having a good offensive line or defensive line. But I think in the end, in the Big Ten, it's offensive line. I mean, you have to be able to handle defensive lines in this league that are going to be putting people in the NFL. You have to.
Actually, I know. That's what I think you're right, and it's got to get way better at Nebraska. It's got to get way better. I mean, and you can't. You see that the good news is, I think you can get those guys here.
You should.
I mean, I think it's easier to get those guys here than, for instance, the elite of the elite wideouts that you need.
Right.
You can get them too, but think about it. A lot of those guys want to play in warm weather, or they want to go, to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Michigan isn't blessed with elite receivers. I mean, Ronnie Bell was his 7th rounder. He was their best receiver. Was he a 7th rounder, Michael?
Which one did you say?
Ronnie Bell.
Yep, 7th rounder. Yep, he was their best receiver. Donovan Peoples-Jones before that. They didn't necessarily.
They haven't had a great one for a long time.
I like the 3 they have now, but they're not. I wouldn't call them first day guys.
No. Listen, that's Ohio State's. But anyway, yeah, offensive line, and I think you can get those guys.
Yeah,
and maybe they got them. Maybe they got them in the pipeline here. Maybe the young guys will be the start of that reversal at Nebraska. But that's where I'd start.
What's really bad is that as that game's going on, Colorado's got this at the beginning of the game. Colorado got this kid, Omarion Miller, who had committed to Nebraska last year and decommitted and went to Colorado. Doesn't play all year. Comes in his first game and has like 7 catches for 200 yards and like 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns. It's like that could have been Nebraska's wide receiver. And because Prime goes to Colorado, he goes to Colorado. That's the kind of stuff that Nebraska can't get a break sometime on stuff like that, you know?
No, and breaks are hard to come by when you're losing. So you got to make your own.
Oh yeah, sure.
They're in. Here's the thing. I also don't want to completely overreact. I hope that's not what happens this week. I certainly hope it doesn't happen within the program.
No,
you got to move. God, that's why I really believe this Friday night game is good.
Yeah,
because you got to move on. Within the program and really outside the program, you move on fast now. I mean, everything's sped up for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're leaving Thursday as a Husker Online crew,
right? So
it for everybody, the Friday thing in this case, I think is good. It helps you put this one behind quick. And the conversations are nasty. I mean, they're just nasty. I mean, I don't know what to say about patience. I get it. All I'm saying is I thought I'd see more yesterday. I didn't expect him to win. I don't expect him to be on Michigan's level. Harbaugh's in year 8 or 9, whatever he's in.
Yeah.
He's got an established program, and maybe 8 years from now, Nebraska will look like that. That's what you hold out hope for.
And that's what Coach Rule said, right? He wants to build it the way Harbaugh built it at Michigan. If he can do that, then obviously you can get to that point. When you mentioned the game Friday, going to play Illinois, all the teams that the Nebraska has left on their schedule all have warts. They all have, some are missing quarterbacks, some are missing whatever. When you think about, first of all, you're going to the worst city in the Big Ten in Champaign, so congratulations to that. And then secondly, when you look at what Nebraska is in terms of that quarterback position, do they have their future quarterback, or is next year you got to go in the portal, you got to go find a future quarterback?
Well, I mean, the evaluation is ongoing and it's early, but I've seen enough to at least consider that notion. Is that an okay answer for you? I don't.
No, they have to. Yeah, I don't think it's a doubt. You have to go find a quarterback that's a big. First of all, they play in a Power 5 conference with some of the best teams in the country. You got to have a quarterback that matches up with that, and I don't believe that they have that right now on the roster.
Oh no, wait a second. I'm open to the idea of Harburg being their quarterback.
You think Harburg could be a Power 5 chance to win conference quarterback?
I'm open to the idea after 3 games.
Okay.
I just think you need some more evaluation.
Yeah. I don't think he can. We watch from up top and we can see a lot in terms of guys open. I just don't think that his ability to throw the ball is good enough to take you to that next level. All the other stuff is athleticism. He's great. I think he's an incredible kid, smart, but I don't think his ability to read defenses and throw the ball is good enough to be at that level.
Maybe read defense. He's got the arms.
Yeah, he's got to find guys open, and guys are open. There are guys that are running open, and he's not finding them when he needs to find them. So, and the arbor slot's a weird thing. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes does it, so everybody does it now. But there's a lot to it in terms of being able to win at this level, high level.
I'm more open. Yeah, I'm more open to the idea that he would be your guy.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I would say I need 3 more or 4 more, maybe even 5 more games.
Okay.
To see, because he can progress. This is only his 3rd start as a collegiate quarterback. So I'm open to it. But I don't know.
Yeah, and I may be completely wrong. In the end, he doesn't jump off the page to me as that guy. And I think if you're going to compete in practice, and if Jeff Sims beat him during the fall, if he's healthy, I think there's a chance they go back to Jeff Sims at some point just because he beat him out the first time. But we'll see. I don't know.
All right. Very interesting, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sip. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
I appreciate that. We'll talk soon.
All right, cool. Stephen M. Sipple heading on the road. When we come back, we'll take your calls. Scott, stay right there, 402-951-1620. It's a short break. We'll be back here on Severe Reaction, brought to you by Equitable Bank, where we take banking personally, and, of course, brought to you as well by Nebraska Medicine, where they will take care of you and your family. We'll take your calls when we come back here on 1620 The Zone.
Creighton Sports Update. Calling all youth soccer players. Join us at Morrison Stadium on Tuesday, October 3rd for Youth Soccer Night in Omaha. It's a perfect night for soccer as the Creighton Blue Jays take on the Omaha Mavericks at 6 p.m. Kids 12 and under receive complimentary admission with purchase of an adult ticket. Just enter YNO at gocreighton.com/buy. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel. It is America's #1 sportsbook because right now, new customers, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. It is guaranteed when you place just a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, Nick, win or lose.
Yeah, and if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use, a wide range of betting options from spreads to player props, over-unders, same-game parlays, and so much more. Visit FanDuel.com/zone. Again, use that promo code ZONE and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable. Bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard has something fun for all ages. Come take a ride on the antique cars where the kids are the drivers. Visit our foam ball play area called the Egg Scramble. Stop by the cider mill area where you can have a drink of refreshing apple cider and taste some deliciously good barbecue at Ethan's Applewood Smokehouse. Vallis has more than 50 other attractions included with admission, along with fireworks every Friday night at 9. Vallis, the place to visit this fall.
If you love food, love fun, love fall, you'll love Vallis Pumpkin Patch best of all.
From sports medicine to spine, bone, and joint problems, Nebraska Medicine is your home for the region's most comprehensive orthopedic care. Our specialists have the unmatched expertise to diagnose and treat common and complex problems, with surgery being a last resort. With multiple locations, our leading care is miles ahead, yet close to home. For orthopedic advances, this is where you begin. Visit nebraskamed.com/ortho.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter. Locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Nachos Mexican Grill invites you to try its exquisite food, starting with its famous grilled chicken, slowly cooked over mesquite charcoal. Serve the way you like. Try it with different sauces, like mango habanero or the original flavor. This comes with 2 side dishes, like beans, rice, salad, and more. We have something for the steak lovers, too. Ask for the soft and juicy ribeye. Visit us at 5007 Grover Street and call to place your orders at 402-913-8146. 402-913-8146. Nachos Mexican Grill.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
McCarthy takes a shotgun steps up, he's going to run. 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Wolverines. There is the legs of McCarthy. Doesn't love to run, but can. Saw it part right in front of him. That would indicate maybe some man defense by Nebraska down the field, and an easy scamper in from 22 yards out, and it's a 20-0 Wolverine lead.
Welcome back to Severe Reaction. Quick segment here. We'll take a couple of calls, and we'll take a break because we owe Joey one. Let's go to Scott. Go ahead, Scott.
Good morning, Michael. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. It's a Sunday. It's a new day. It's a new week.
Yes, for sure. Hey, you know what? Last year, when you look at the week leading up to the Michigan game, nobody was talking at all about, hey, maybe we can keep this close. maybe if things go right, right?
Yep.
I thought it looked a lot like last year. Because we had 2 very average wins these last couple weeks, everybody got back into the mindset of 2 years ago, where we gave Michigan a scare.
Yeah.
If you take the emotion out of it, Michael, which I understand is so hard to do as a Nebraska fan, that's why we're great, right? When you take the emotion out of it, you can't build a rational case for why we would have kept that game close. Now, you throw on top of that, and what I'm going to give you now are not excuses, they're reasons. You lose 2 or 3 really key defenders. That's probably the difference between the point spread initially and how bad we got beat. So I don't see the rational case to make. I think there's a few bright spots. Actually, I wasn't big on Washington prior to this. I actually was impressed with the slant play. They saw something there they liked.
Yep.
The second one, I think if it doesn't get tipped, he probably goes.
Yep.
I couldn't see the safety. The Fleeks thing I'm not going to talk about. But what's interesting on that play, Michael, look at how Washington closes the gap on Fleeks and the 2 safeties, or the safety in the corner. So I like that. And the last thing I'll say is, listening to Rule afterwards, he said 2 things twice: recruit, develop, recruit, develop. That is where we're at. We just don't have the folks right now, but we're going to stay hopeful and wait for a slow build. Oh, Michael, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
Blast, I appreciate your time. If you're a defensive coordinator and you've got Nebraska next week, no matter who you are, who scares you? Does anybody scare you where you say, we've got to prepare for that guy? Michael, have a great day, brother. Bye.
I appreciate it, Scott. No, that's very true. It's prep guys, right? The guys you put on your first page of your scouting report. And I think most of the teams Nebraska going to play, they're going to be worried about stopping Anthony Grant in the run game. They're going to worry about the option game from Harburg and getting them out on the edge and making big plays with athleticism. And in terms of skill guys, maybe they'll worry about Fedoni because of his size and his skill. But after that, that's about it, really, when you're talking about game planning. I do like the idea of what Rule said about recruiting, scouting, recruiting, coaching, development. That's all great. But it's amped up now because of the transfer portal. So you do all those things along with scouting the transfer portal and bringing guys in that can help you win. Quick, another break before, this hour's already started. But Todd, Mark, stay right there. We'll get to you right on the other side of the break here on 1620 The Zone.
Life doesn't stop when cancer starts. After a diagnosis, treatment is vital. But for some, just getting there, to appointments, chemo, or radiation, is a major challenge. You can change that. Volunteer to give rides with the American Cancer Society Road to Recovery program. A few hours of your day could make a life-saving difference for someone with cancer. Visit cancer.org/drive to learn more. That's cancer.org/drive.
Say goodbye to summer and hello to cash loans. Let's face it, your personal banker probably won't loan you thousands of dollars today, but Saul's Jewelry and Loan will. Simply bring in your boat, camper, RV, jet ski, ATV, motorcycle, even your beautiful convertible, along with a clear title, and Saul's will loan you up to $50,000. No credit check, no hassle, and more importantly, no worries. Saul's indoor storage facility is so clean and secure, you can store your precious Harley-Davidson for the winter and pick it up next spring. So if you need a quick cash loan, Saul's is here to help.
Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
This is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Home is where your health is, where your family gathers together, takes care of each other. And right there with you is Nebraska Medicine. We're proud to take care of Nebraska, to deliver everything your family needs. From immediate care to neurosurgery, it's expertise you can be confident in. With locations throughout the region and telehealth appointments from the comfort of home. Find a provider close to you at nebraskamed.com.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Let it fly. Your elevated sports bar experience. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620, The Zone. Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Conti in the gun, gets the snap. Looking middle, rolling to the near side, being flushed by Ty Robinson. He's going to scramble and throws toward the end zone. The pass is caught for a touchdown for Michigan. He found Roman Wilson, his second touchdown catch of the game in the back of the corner of the end zone as McCarthy rolled to the near side, outrunning Ty Robinson, and fired a bullet for 6 points. It's now 27-0 Wolverines. Into the breeze here in Memorial Stadium to try to get Nebraska on the board.
And it's a stiff one.
Snap down. Alvano's kick sailing towards the uprights, and the kick is no good. He missed it.
Welcome back. Severe Reaction on 1620 The Zone. I'm sorry, I'm a child. When he said it's a stiff one, I giggled. I'm sorry. I apologize. Also need to get special teams shored up. And Tristan Alvano, I know, is a good kicker. I know what he can do. He is struggling right now, whether it's wind or confidence or whatever else, whatever it is, that's got to get fixed because you can't have successful drives and not get points. I don't know how many times it happens on a Sunday or a Saturday, but if you get a 50-yard plus play, you've got to get points. And they got a 50-yard plus play and didn't get any points. That's obviously got to, that can't happen. So we got to get that fixed as well. Welcome back to Severe Reaction. Second hour. Severe Reaction is presented by Nebraska Medicine and also presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally and answer the phone on the first ring. Always. Speaking of first ring, we go to Mark, who's been on hold longer. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Good morning, Michael.
What's up?
After a game like this, Nebraska just needs to forget, move on, keep competing until they finally find some bodacious, hey, there's a term from the 70s, on both sides of the line of scrimmage. It's going to be pretty tough, no matter what playmakers you have or do not have. And just to conclude, I haven't read the update on the injury report. What is the situation with Deshaun Singleton?
It's a knee, but he wouldn't tell us anything more than that. He didn't think it was an ACL, but they're going to be testing it and find out more. He was in real pain, though. He was really hurt. Whatever it was, he was in big-time pain.
That's a big loss out of that secondary if they don't have him, just like Buford. So I think they're okay. We all need to just keep positive all of this and ride this whole season out. Just keep competing. Hey, have a good day.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I look at that secondary and the depth they have in it. If you want to find a positive, and it is. I mean, it's very positive. The development you've seen, the way Hartzog plays, the way Newsome plays, the way Singleton got better this year out of nowhere. And even when they bring in guys off the bench, guys who are second and third teamers, they always seem to play very well back there. Even Kobe Brett's got some snaps yesterday I think he's second year now. So you do see development in certain places, especially on defense. But obviously they're a long way away in many different places. Let's go back to the phones. That's where Todd is this morning. Hey, Todd.
Morning, Michael.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good, man.
Hey, good. I was wondering, I noticed at the second half kickoff, it looked like half the stadium was gone. And I was just wondering, and I guess it just a question about, overall general apathy. Did it ever really come back, or did it kind of remain a sparse crowd into the second half?
I thought overall in the stadium after the 4th and 1 was over, I think the energy in the stadium was gone after that.
Yeah.
I thought it was gone. I mean, before halftime, that happened. And then that next drive was that long drive by Michigan. And I think that was pretty much the energy from the stadium.
Yeah. And I guess I'm wondering, outside of what the sellout streak represents, do you ever envision if this keeps going as it's going that, not just the students, but just kind of the regular, every day or every week fans are going to not start going, and that there's going to be just an apathy that's going to trickle down to the boosters and everything. And and just put us in a position that is even worse than where we are now.
Hey, Todd, say this. Don't worry about what I think. Worry about what Trev Alberts thinks, and Trev is concerned about it. He's concerned about all of that, and even to the point of when we start figuring out where people are going to end up in conferences, worried that Nebraska would get left out. I mean, so he's worried about it. So we all should be worried about it.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, thanks.
No
Thanks,
problem.
Michael.
Thanks, Todd. No, you get to a point where look at Minnesota, and this is a hard analogy to make because it was a long time ago. But Minnesota, for a couple of generations, were a dominant football. I think Minnesota is still the last college football team to win 3 straight championships. I believe that's Division I, winning 3 straight. I believe they're still the last team to do that. So you can talk about what they were and then what they became, right? Became a laughingstock, getting completely dominated by Nebraska and whoever else played them for a number of years. And that affected their fan base, and it affected a lot of things and their reputation in college football. Could that happen in Nebraska? I mean, obviously Nebraska's success is more recent than what Minnesota's was, which was in the 30s and 40s or whatever. But still, it could happen. The last thing you want to have happen is people look at a schedule and say to themselves, "Yeah, I'm not gonna go to the game. We don't have a chance to win. I'm not going to the game." That's the worst thing that could possibly happen. That's not just apathy. That's people giving up on you. And I don't think Nebraska fans would do that. Based off of what I know about Nebraska fans being here for 20 years now, 21 years actually, I don't think that'll happen. I don't see Nebraska fans getting to the point where they just stop, because it's part of your upbringing, your raising, what you are, right? Your family's had tickets for whatever. You've been sitting in the same seats for whatever. It's a 100-year-old stadium, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, eventually you have a next generation who haven't been brought up under winning, who haven't had the opportunity to see glory times. So that next generation, maybe they could turn off and stop. I think one reason why they're reducing the seat capacity is because if you make the place comfortable, right, and have fewer seats available, you'll still be able to have a great atmosphere. The last thing you need is 90,000 seats with half of them uncomfortable and people being able to stay at home and watch the game on their 90-inch TV with their refrigerator and bathroom right there. You can't have that happen. So you reduce the amount. I was talking about my wife about this. I can't believe they're going to spend that much money. In order for the future to be bright for Nebraska football, they've got to present a place that people want to go to. And redoing this stadium, making most of the seats with seat backs, concessions better bathrooms, better internet, better sound system, better pregame and during the game stuff, all that's got to happen in order for people to continue to go. And you need to win. All of that together. Go back to the phones, 402-951-1620. That's where Juan is this morning. Good morning, Juan.
What's happening, homie?
How you doing?
I'm excellent.
You sound like it. What time you went to bed last night?
Man, we ain't went to bed, man. I'm watching all the people make them videos talking about Charlo was in survival mode, bro. We was in survival mode, bro.
You know,
that ain't Nebraska football.
Hey, real quick, but go back to boxing, Juan. Juan, I'll go back to boxing.
Hold on.
Did you think Charlo had a chance?
Huh?
Did you think Charlo had a chance in that fight last night?
Man, neither one of them got a chance against Bud, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, then. That's what we talking about.
I know.
We supposed to be Bud, bro. We ain't trying to be Charlo. What you talking about, man?
Well, I'm just saying it's a bit comparison.
You know this Don Juan, though, right?
That's a comparison, though. You could say Canelo is Michigan.
Yeah.
Right?
So what, bro? Listen. Listen. This is what I was trying to say.
Okay.
Michigan and Nebraska are supposed to be top 10 all-time wins.
They are.
Okay? We look like Sam Houston State, bro.
Oh, that's mean, man. That ain't nice. That's not nice at all.
Hey, man, hold on. I ain't finished, man, because you was the one saying we were supposed to hire this coach, bro. Remember that?
No, dude.
I said, man, come on, man.
Man,
Trev,
right now, Sam Houston State's former coach is coaching at Tulane. Willie Fritz beat USC last year in a New Year's Day Bowl. What has Nebraska's coach done?
Well, how come you didn't promote him, bro, and you was promoting his rules?
I know. I love Willie Fritz. I've been talking about Willie Fritz for years, Juan. I love Willie Fritz. Whether he was with Georgia Southern or if he was at Sam Houston or now at Tulane.
But you know this Don Juan, though, right?
I know what?
This Don Juan, bro.
I know it's Don Juan. I know it's Don Juan. I knew right away it was Don Juan.
Of course you did, bro.
Yeah, brother.
But what I'm saying, bro, is that you know, you're doing a good job, man. But see, the thing is, right? You're talking about the concessions and redoing the stadium and hitting the Wi-Fi.
Right.
We could have done that, bro. We could have saved this money and done that, and hopefully try to build.
Are you saying have you given up on Coach Rule already?
Man, I told you, bro, that that wasn't even the guy, bro. What you mean? Beforehand, I would have rather stuck with the guy that beat Iowa, bro. It don't look like we're gonna beat Iowa from what the other fans said on.
Oh, you mean Mickey Joseph?
Or whoever, bro.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, this dude talking about Baylor, man. What is about, man?
Well, I mean, he did create a pretty good program at Baylor. You know, he did do that.
Where they at now?
Where they at now? They came back and won yesterday. They should have lost. They came back from down 30 yesterday, I think, to win. Baylor did.
Maybe they should have hired that guy.
Hey, watch. Hey, take it easy,
yes,
man.
Sir.
Don Juan, take it easy. Take it easy. It's like we put Juan up there, and as soon as I heard him, I was like, that's Don Juan, man. That's not Juan. It's Don Juan. Don Juan. We'll take a break. When we come back, there's a couple things I want to get into. We every week we do what went right, what went wrong. This is a more difficult week for that, of course. We'll also look at going forward, Illinois and some of the other teams in the Big Ten. And of course, take your phone calls, 402-951-1620. Here's what I plead to you. If you're out there listening within the sound of my voice now or on the radio replay, do not give up on this coach after 5 games. Do not give up on the program after 5 games. Do not give up on this season after 5 games. All right? Don't. This team could easily win. Listen, they could win the next 3 in a row. They haven't won 3 in a row since 2016, and they could win the next 3 in a row. They could. And then you'll be like, man, I gave up on this team. Don't do it yet. 402-951-1620. It's a severe reaction brought to you by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank, where they take banking personally. We'll be back right here on 1620 The Zone.
Follow your imagination to the Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch. Bring the whole gang and explore for treasure on the pirate shipwreck. See how the West was fun. Pretend you're a superhero as you jump on giant bounce pads. Maybe reserve your own campfire rental where you can roast marshmallows and tell stories. It's all up to you. And of course, go on a hayride and grab your own pumpkin. Priced by the size, not the pound. Follow your imagination at the Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch. 48th between Cornhusker and Highway 370. More info at BellevueBerryFarm.com.
A commitment to volunteer service is one of the many things that makes Nebraska so special. Volunteers give their time, energy, and resources, and they ask for nothing in return. The Step Forward Awards ensures they're recognized for all they do. Those honored this year for the impact they've made in their communities are Beverly Hansen of Bertrand, Maddie Kuchera of Raymond, Dennis Hines of Bellevue, Robert and Helen Arnold of Crawford, Wood River Vision 2020 in Wood River, Rolane Blasser of Lincoln, Roger Peak in Omaha, Senator Mike McDonnell of Omaha, and Mara Shai of Gering. Serve Nebraska thanks all nominators, nominees, and sponsors for helping us celebrate volunteerism. To learn more about the Step Forward Awards and this year's honorees, visit serve.nebraska.gov. Sponsored by Serve Nebraska, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Home is where your health is, where your family gathers together, takes care of each other. And right there with you is Nebraska Medicine. We're proud to take care of Nebraska, to deliver everything your family needs. From immediate care to neurosurgery, it's expertise you can be confident in. With locations throughout the region and telehealth appointments from the comfort of home. Find a provider close to you at nebraskamed.com.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Hey, Tapper for the FanDuel Sportsbook. It is time to snap into some NFL action this season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Why? Because right now, new customers will get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, and all you have to do is place a $5 bet. $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. What a deal. And if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time and no better deal than that. Get in on the action now. Plenty of options available for you to bet on the FanDuel Sportsbook: spreads, player props, over-unders, season longs. Why don't you mix in a same game parlay as well while you're at it? All you got to do, visit FanDuel.com/Happer. Kick off the NFL season the only way, the right way. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 and over, present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
And everyone in Nebraska will find out about this team next Friday night. We'll find out about them. We'll find out about me. We'll find out about them. We'll find out about all of us on Friday night. And that doesn't mean winning and losing. If Illinois is better than us, so be it. But I can tell from your guys' questions, like there's a sort of a feeling of like, hey, did they really fight back a little bit, right? So, and again, I'm hesitant to say that till I see it. Right? It's always hard to tell from the sideline. You know what I'm saying? It's, but we'll see on Friday night. You know how excited we look, how much we're flying around, what we look like. We'll see. So, yeah, I hope it bothers them. And we're in a day and age where sometimes everyone wants to be too cool for school. I hope it bothers them because it bothers me.
Welcome back to the reaction. I thought that last comment, it was about a good minute, 15-second answer that Matt Rule gave to, I believe it was Andy Kinney's question. He's right in so many ways. If you want to see what a team is made of, watch them after they've had their ass kicked. Seriously. Look at Colorado this week. Oregon beat them up. They go down against USC. USC's defense is on the struggle bus again this year. But still, Colorado didn't quit. They didn't quit. They battled back. You see that throughout college football. You know, Purdue has had their struggles this year. They got the opportunity to take care of Illinois. They took care of them. There's so many things that show what you are as a person, what you are as a team. Nothing shows who you are and what you are better than adversity. When you struggle, how do you come out of it is who you are as a man, as a person, as a human being, as a player, no matter what, as a dad, as a son, as a daughter. When you go through adversity, when you struggle in school, how do you come back from that? When you struggle at work, how do you come back from that? When you struggle as a football team, as a program, how do you come back from that? And that's what Nebraska will be able to show on Friday. Sip was right. You get quick turnaround. You go on the road. It's all you. It's your 74 on a plane, on a bus, in a hotel, at a stadium. However many people are it's going to be pretty empty, I'm assuming, in Illinois. After the way they got handled by Purdue, I'm guessing there won't be a lot of people there, right? What's the phrase? Bring your own, right? You have to bring your own motivation, guts, all that stuff to that game because it's not going to be a lot of crowd helping you out. So how you bounce back from adversity is the greatest example of what kind of person you are. And so we'll find out right away. That bite that he had just now, that Matt Rule said, is who they are. Will be who they are, like he said. Talk a lot about what went right, what went wrong, and this is not an easy one on what went right. A lot of what's went wrong, right? I mean, obviously, so much of what went wrong. But looking on the bright side of it, and I mentioned this earlier, it wasn't Heinrich Harburg that cost him the game. It wasn't. I mean, at one point in the game, he had 8 straight completions. You don't see that a lot across college football. You certainly haven't seen it a lot in Nebraska. 8 straight. On top of the 8 straight, he had 2 of them that led to first downs. So that showed you that Nebraska was either putting themselves in a long-distance situation to where even a throw couldn't get a first down, or they were short throws. Only 2 of them of the 8 led to a first down, but he was 8 in a row. He had the deflected interception. He has had 5 total fumbles so far this season, which is tied for second among all college football players in Division I. There's one player that has had 7. Then you have 6 players that have 5. 5 of them are quarterbacks. 1 is Purdue's running back. So he's putting the ball down, but they've only lost 1. The difference between what Jeff Sims did, fumbling the ball, and what Harburg did fumbling the ball is fumble luck. That's what they call it. When you recover a fumble, there's a percentage of fumble luck to it. It bounces the right way. You fumbled in the right place. You fumbled behind you. You the only one back there, that kind of thing. And so Nebraska's gotten that. And they haven't lost the ball because of fumbles except one. The one time when he got hit from behind and ended up fumbling the ball. But other than that, against Northern Illinois, I believe, was at Louisiana Tech. Against Northern Illinois. So, yeah. It wasn't Heinrich Harburg that cost him the game. Also, Brian Buschini has bounced back, right? 3 punch yesterday, over 45 yards, average. 50 yards was his long. He's made up, and that was a tough day punting. At least 2 of his punts were into that wind. If you were punting to the south, you were into some serious wind, and he kept it low, and he kind of line drived it and hit it a good distance. So Brian Buschini is definitely a positive. What went wrong? That's all I have from positives. What went wrong? We talked about this with Sip, the 4th and 1 decision. I understand that there are some teams that can line up in the shotgun, and they have a good enough offensive line, and they have a dominant running back, and they can line up and go get your first down. I get that. They still exist. But for the most part, the way you get a 4th and 1, the way you get a 3rd and 1, you go college or pros. You've got something like a 95% conversion rate on quarterback sneak. 95 quarterback sneak. You line up, you get lower than your opponent, and you push. You know the snap count, they don't. That's your advantage. You know if you're going to go over in between the center and the right guard, or you're going to go over the center and the left guard, or you're right over the center, or maybe you're going to push even wider back over the guard. You know those things. The defense doesn't. So you have the advantage on the snap count, and you have the advantage of where you're going to go. Left, right, middle. Because of that, people convert that. It's the way you convert it. And here's the thing. Last week, Nebraska did it at least 3 times last week where they converted that way, where they had 3rd or 4th and short and got behind the center and pushed in for the first down. They did it last week. They know they can do it. It's obviously in the game plan. But that decision was a poor decision. And it, in a many ways, changed the momentum of the game. I'm not saying that it would have been that different of a score at the end. Maybe Michigan scores 1 less touchdown. Maybe they only have 38. Maybe Nebraska gets 1 extra touchdown and it's 38-14. Is that a difference? You feel different from 45-7 to 38-14? Maybe you do. But that's a bad decision. What else went wrong? I mean, you have a punt returner who fumbles, who muffs a punt, and then picks it up and runs for like 25 yards. That can't happen. The coverage has got to try to be there when the muff happens to try to recover it. If that's not the case, at least corral them coming off of the muff. You have guys leaving their lanes, and you end up getting up a long return. That can't happen. That obviously went wrong. And then the basics of getting dominated at the point of attack, of giving up a bunch of 3rd downs, not converting on 3rd down, missing some open guys, having the ball knocked down 3 times. Did I have 3 BUs? I think I have 3 BUs for them. Yeah. So 3 of them getting sacked 4 times. All of those things are bad. All those things. But the one thing I point to is that 4th and 1. Because that 4th and 1 directly affected that drive, took the momentum from you, gave it to Michigan, and Michigan took advantage of it by driving down and getting a score. And kind of putting the game away at that point. But you knew that already. I'm going to get some stats that stood out. Talk a little bit more about Illinois going forward. Look at how things went in the Big Ten. And, of course, take your phone calls, 402-951-1620, 402-951-1620. There is NFL football on. It was 7-0 Jaguars. I don't know with an update of the score. Is it still the same?
It's 10-0 in the second quarter.
10-0 Jacksonville. I thought Jacksonville had a chance to blow them out today. They've played so horribly the last 2 weeks. Lawrence has played so uneven. This makes sense as a game that Jacksonville should go out in their home field, right?
Yep, home
in
field.
London.
Yep, for 2 weeks they'll
staying
be
there.
They'll be playing the Bills next week in London.
Yeah, it makes sense that this would happen. I don't know. It's only 10-0 right now. You never know what'll happen. And Atlanta can run the ball. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More of Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction, presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Chase Senate Contracting, Dingman's Collision Center and Mechanical Repair, and Rotella's Italian Bakery. Immediately after the game, join the show and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction with the Keg and 1620 The Zone.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
It's the Genesis Health Club's anniversary celebration sale. We're celebrating 37 years of fitness by you joining for just 37 cents and get the rest of the year for free. Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen with Genesis Health Clubs, and we're celebrating our 37th anniversary. Every day, Genesis members celebrate their health and fitness by feeling great and loving life. The better your health is, the more you enjoy each and every day. Regular exercise is the #1 ingredient to a healthy and more prosperous life. Join Genesis Health Clubs today for our 37th anniversary and join for just 37 cents and get the rest of the year for free. With a 37-cent enrollment fee and a savings that make the rest of the year for free, it's easy to get going and start celebrating today. Join today at GenesisHealthClubs.com. This time next year could be your 1-year anniversary of a happier, healthier, more confident, and more energetic version of yourself. Genesis Health Club will help you every step of the way. Join Genesis today for just 37 cents and get the rest of the year for free. Now that's something to celebrate.
We back, baby. We coming. Unauthorized Big Red Breakfast is back. Join me, Gary Sharp, along with Nick Hanley from Sharp and Hanley in the morning. On the road each home game Friday. And this year, we have a new breakfast partner, Hy-Vee. There's a smile in every aisle, and we'll be there on the road at various Hy-Vees each home game Friday, breaking down all the big stories about this week's Husker game.
This week, join us at the new Gretna Hy-Vee on 191st Street, the Big Daddy. We'll have breakfast, special tickets, and prizes to get registered for, and the best Big Red content in town. Every home game Friday with Sharp and Hanley at Hy-Vee on 1620 The Zone.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Marburg looks over the Michigan defense, gets a snap, takes the handoff back to throw, stepping, taking a shot downfield, looking for Marcus Washington, makes a catch, 50, 40, 35, wrestled down around the 21-yard line, 20-yard line. Marcus Washington with a nice run after the catch. Huskers hit him with a big play and have it at the 19.
Welcome back. Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone, 402-951-1620. I was informed by Joey that the Jacksonville Jaguars have scored. I'm behind on my ESPN Plus, so I'm assuming a turnover is coming, and Jacksonville is going to take it in for a score because I have 10-0 Atlanta with the ball and Ritter taking a snap out of the shotgun. So I assume something bad's going to happen right now to the Atlanta Falcons, which I would never wish anything bad. I wish everything bad on the Atlanta Falcons. Actually, it's not true. Yeah, I'm assuming something. No, they didn't fumble here yet. 402-951-1620. We have some stats that stand out and show you the difference in the game. We'll get to those after we talk to Andrew. Hello, Andrew. How are you?
Mr. Severe, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How have you been, Andrew?
Yes. I'm going to kind of go on a rant a little bit.
Go ahead.
So bear with me.
Sure.
where are the guys with a mean streak? And I hate to reference the 90s and stuff, but it seems like the mean streak has somewhat doesn't exist in Nebraska football anymore. That nastiness, just mean streak nastiness, I guess. And our offensive line, we have had talent recruiting-wise. Wasn't Cochran a 4-star? Benhart was a 4-star. I mean,
yeah.
And obviously, you know, Benhart kind of failed, and I think Cochran's playing out of position. But
I think Benhart's playing much better, by the way. Real quick, I think Benhart's playing much better this year. You've seen a real growth in him. I give him credit for the improvement he's made as a player. Benhart has.
Do you think, and I guess the question will always go is, was Raiola kept to probably get his nephew to come to play at Nebraska? And is that coaching position something we can afford to leave Raiola at?
I don't think there's any way that Matt Rule entrusted the second most important positional coaching position to somebody just because he was trying to get a nephew. I think he really believes in the style that Raiola teaches. He's a young coach. He thinks he can help. I think he kept him for those reasons, not because of getting Dylan.
What do you think about the mean streak in Nebraska football?
Well, there's only a few guys. So I'll give you a couple guys that have it. So I think Hutmaker has it. I think Ty Robinson has it. I think there's some guys in that secondary. I think Hartzog, who's undersized, has it. I think Newsom has it. There's some guys that have it. I just don't think overall they're good enough to be able to say that's the only reason they're winning. You know, they have mean streaks. They have guys who are tough. They don't have enough, I don't think, but they have them.
But don't at some, like, I never, and maybe it's just they're taking on the personality of their coach, but after you get kicked in the teeth so much, don't you like show some fire or some emotion?
Yeah.
It's just not there.
I'll tell you this though about Rule, just whatever you see from him in press conference and stuff, he is a fiery guy. I mean, in practice he is on the sideline, he's not a guy that's all laid back. So if they're going to take his personality, they're going to take the personality of a guy who was a walk-on, who's undersized, who is a fighter. So they would take that personality. He is that guy, I think.
And now, after you've seen what you've seen, give me a year rebuild, you think, on this. Is it longer than 3 years? Is it more of a 5 year, 6 year?
I think they still have a chance to make a bowl game this year. I think next year, depending on what happens at the quarterback position, I think they can be better. But I think the third year is the year that you would say to yourself, okay, are they going to challenge for a conference championship? Are they going to be able to beat the best teams? That would be the year. But it still comes down to getting a quarterback above all of this.
Do you think that kid from Bellevue West, that Dan, I can't think of his last name.
Daniel Kaline?
Do you think? I think he has a chance.
I don't know. I mean, I think the he's a good quarterback. I don't know if he's the guy we're talking about leading this team to winning conference championships. I don't know about that.
All right. Well, Mr. Severa, thank you for your information.
No problem. Thank you, Drew. Appreciate it, man.
Go Saints.
Yeah, hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, and I'll say to you, go Creighton, I guess. No, I think Daniel Kaline's got talent. I've seen him throw the ball. He's got a good arm. He does some things well. Great comeback this week against Gretna. Great job. I don't know what he is at the college level. We'll see. But I don't know. That's not who I'm thinking of as a guy that's going to take them to the next level at quarterback. It's not. It's got to be somebody else, whether it is going out and finding the best transfer they can find. It's so funny looking across college football and looking at all these teams and how many of them have a transfer quarterback. There are some that don't, Maryland. I just saw the highlights from Maryland. Obviously, Tunga Vailoa was originally committed to Alabama and went to Alabama, then left and ended up going to, I don't know if he ever registered there or not, but started off as a commitment to Alabama, then ended up at Maryland. But just go through all these teams. Outside of like Georgia, who's had transfers before at quarterback, the majority of Michigan's guy, he's J.J. McCarthy is from there, but how many of those guys are all transfer guys? Either you go get one of those, or you figure out a way, if you think he's the guy, to flip Dylan Raiola eventually. Maybe after 1 year being somewhere else, he ends up back in Nebraska. You never know. I've seen it before. You never know. We'll take a look at some of the stats that stand out. Then again, look ahead to Illinois when we come back here on Severe Reaction.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
In a house in Omaha, people gather in the kitchen. They don't talk about school and work. They talk about doctors and surgeries. They're the families of Ronald McDonald House Charities in Omaha. And the kitchen is where they come together to share the struggles their children are facing. For these families, it's the little things like a home-cooked meal, even while far from home, that make the biggest difference. Volunteer to prepare a meal by visiting rmhcomaha.org.
The Omaha Farmers Market is celebrating 30 years in 2023, every Saturday in the Old Market from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and every Sunday in Exartman Village from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Enjoy the bountiful season of locally grown and handmade goods. Get the city's best selection of fresh produce, herbs, meat, and more. To keep up with what's in season, visit omahafarmersmarket.org and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Presented by Methodist Health System with media sponsors KETV Channel 7 and Sweet 98.5.
Say goodbye to summer and hello to cash loans. Let's face it, your personal banker probably won't loan you thousands of dollars today, but Saul's Jewelry and Loan will. Simply bring in your boat, camper, RV, jet ski, ATV, motorcycle, even your beautiful convertible, along with a clear title, and Saul's will loan you up to $50,000. No credit check, no hassle, and more importantly, no worries. Saul's indoor storage facility is so clean and secure, you can store your precious Harley-Davidson for the winter and pick it up next spring. So if you need a quick cash loan, Saul's is here to help.
Saul's Jewelry and Loan. From sports medicine to spine, bone, and joint problems, Nebraska Medicine is your home for the region's most comprehensive orthopedic care. Our specialists have the unmatched expertise to diagnose and treat common and complex problems, with surgery being a last resort. With multiple locations, our leading care is miles ahead, yet close to home. For orthopedic advances, this is where you begin. Visit nebraskamed.com/ortho.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
High formation, they give it off to Blake Corn, left side, touchdown Michigan, and they stretch their lead now to 34-0. Formation to the near side, second and goal from the 8. Denegal gets the shotgun snap, has time, steps, throws, pass caught, touchdown. Fired a pass over the middle, pulled in by Peyton O'Leary, and Michigan stretches their lead to 44-0.
Welcome back to the Reaction here on 1620 The Zone, presented to you by Nebraska Medicine, where they'll take care of you and your family. And Severe Reactions also presented by Equitable Bank, where we take banking personally. 402-951-1620, ending up with your calls. A couple stats that do stand out, though. Michigan on third down, 8 of 13. And they only had 4 yards to go average on third down. Just 4 yards to go. Nebraska had 8.8 yards to go on third down. Went 3 of 10, not surprising. Second straight week, no Big Mac sacks for the Huskers. No sacks for the Huskers. Michigan played 4 quarterbacks. None of them got sacked. Think about that. And just credited with just 1 quarterback hurry, Nebraska was. I mentioned Harburg's numbers, the deflected interception, and the 5 fumbles on the season. Just 1 loss, though. Nebraska reached the 50 twice without officially crossing it, meaning the drive ended on the 50, but did cross it 3 times. Just 3 times. Fleeks was 1, missed field goal, and stopped on downs. Obviously, can't be in a game and have a chance to win it when you only cross the 50 3 times. Let's go to the phones. That's where Matt is this morning. What's up, Matt?
Hello.
Were you there, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Michael.
How you doing?
Great show. Just going back to your previous caller about, and you saying it's just like the NFL now. You need a quarterback.
Yeah.
And you talked about Dylan Raiola. I think it's important for Nebraska to go out and recruit these 5 stars, 4 stars, even if you don't get them.
Right.
Because, like, you look at Joe Burrow, he sat on the bench for 2 or 3 years at Ohio State.
Yep.
Probably the best college quarterback of all time, and he transfers. So who knows? In 2 years, maybe Dylan will be, because Georgia has like a full quarterback room of like 3 5-star quarterbacks. He might be a backup quarterback in 2 years.
Well, look at Texas right now. Quinn Ewers goes to Ohio State for 1 year and then goes to Texas.
Get Manning.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be calling. Are you allowed to contact these guys while they're in college? Can NIL contact them?
No, I mean you can these guys all have agents and things, and there's DM stuff, but you don't want to tamper. That's the last thing you want to do while they're there.
Look at NIL tamper.
I don't believe
they're outside the university.
Yeah, I don't know if they're allowed to do that because they are still
Not
representing
tamper.
the
That's probably a
school
bad word,
in a
but-
way. I don't know. I know this, that there is ways to contact people if you want to contact them.
Yeah, and I didn't really want to go down the.
No, I know.
But do you think it's a good strategy to, go for some of these big name quarterbacks? I mean, just like in the NFL, if you don't have a quarterback, you're pretty much dead in the water. So I don't know. Dylan Raiola is the only time I've seen them go after like a big name, partly because of the association with Nebraska and stuff. But so you think that's a good strategy to going forward, even if you don't get the guy?
Oh no, I completely agree with you, man. I appreciate it and appreciate the call. You're investing in a future because if you look, so many transfers are happening, and the majority of the time, when you look at these transfers, they end up going to a school that recruited them before, that they already have a relationship with, that they maybe visited and chose somebody else. So yeah, you invest in that offer and you try to get them, and if you don't get them, you do everything right during that time, and then in the end, you're sitting there maybe with a chance to get a bounce back, right? Have another guy come to you. Let's go back to the phones where Paul is this morning. What's up, Paul?
Pretty good. Just on the road right now, listening to you, keeping myself entertained.
Well, I appreciate it. Where are you heading?
Actually, Alamogordo, New Mexico, so I've got a long drive ahead of me.
Oh, man, be safe.
Yep, thank you. No, I just wanted to call and talk to you about the coaching. I have season tickets. I've been a Nebraska fan since the 60s. But, I'm to the point where the coaches have to prove it to me. And so far, I'm not really impressed with the coaching. Starting with head coach Matt Rule, I feel he's kind of blowing smoke at us sometimes, particularly like when he tried to say that the left side of the line was doing fine when our eyes tell us something completely different. That either tells me that he's too invested in that player or he's got absolutely nobody behind him to fill in the role. And then Satterfield, the offensive coordinator, I just don't think he understands, the space-time continuum. He's not coaching pros. He's in college. And, like that 4th and 1 play as an example, it's like, dude, if you haven't been watching the same game everybody in the stands has, you're not moving that, that Michigan defensive line and doing this, shotgun start and trying to run it up the middle was just ludicrous. It was just a coaching decision that's, a head scratcher. And he's had several of those in the first 5 games where you're just going, dude, do you not understand who and what, and where you're at? And then even on defense, I've been disappointed where it seems, they think they've got so many defensive backs and linebackers back there that they can cover the receivers forever. And the bottom line is when you go up against good quarterbacks and good receivers, if you give them time, they're going to pick you apart. And, on several of those touchdowns, those wide receivers had gotten away from our guy and were wide open and got hit for touchdowns. So I'll have hope that the coaching staff does well because it is only 5 games in and we still have quite a few. And as you pointed out, this was probably our hardest game of the year. And most of these other teams are in the same category as us, so we'll have a shot at winning. I'll have hope that they'll do better, but anymore, I'm kind of with this coaching staff like, guys, I've seen too many coaching faux pas here that I'm just not got a lot of faith in you right now.
I understand, Paul. We appreciate your call, and hopefully you get to the point where they'll turn your opinion on that. Neither of the left tackles, based on PFF grades, played very well yesterday. Turner Corcoran, 28 snaps, 45 overall grade. Teddy Prohaska, 19 snaps, 51 grade. Bryce Benhart was a 48. Ben Scott was a 58. The number one grade was from Newelly with a 67.6 grade in terms of the offensive lineman from Pro Football Focus, courtesy of Husker Online. Let's go back to the phones. Hey, Rick, how's it going, man?
Michael, the sun's shining out here in central Omaha. Thanks for taking my call.
No problem.
Even got to church this morning. They let me take up the collection again. It'll be a little short this week as usual. Hey, on a more serious note, the only way the Raiola kid's going to come here is he has a moving van to haul his uncle away after they fire him. The team is obviously, there's growing pains. Obviously, people are talking about quarterbacks. You need to develop the offensive line. Hopefully they've got enough young blood they can do that. And other than that, there's not a whole lot to be happy about. But fortunately, maybe they can beat these next two teams from Illinois, and maybe Trev can move his magic wand. And he's got an off week, so maybe he could schedule the Bears, and you could get 3 wins there. So thanks for taking the call.
I appreciate it, Rick. Thanks a lot.
Hang in there, Michael.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah, I think you look ahead. I mean, they could win the next 3 games. And I know they have not done that since 2016. I agree with the offensive line. I said that earlier. You got to build an offensive line first, but you still need to get a quarterback in the pipeline. A quarterback in the pipeline who you feel can help you win the Big Ten. In the end, that's the goal of Matt Rule and everybody else, to win the Big Ten. In order to do that, you have to have a top-flight quarterback. Whether you get him this year or next year or the year after, eventually you got to get that quarterback to go along with your offensive line and skill players. Go back to the phones. Terry's been holding the longest. What's up, Terry?
Hi, I was calling, not very deep conversation, but it has to do more with the announcers.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want to know why they're calling it a marker instead of a flag.
Oh, I think to some people, that's what they go with. I don't know. I don't know why they call it a yellow marker opposed to a yellow flag. I don't know. But I think it depends on where you're from, what part of the country, how you were brought up, how they called it when you were coming up, that kind of thing.
Okay, because I've only heard it called a flag my whole life.
Yeah, it's called a marker someplace. I mean, the officials will call it a marker. They will when they're talking about it opposed to a flag. But yeah, I don't know why they were doing it. I haven't listened to the game yet. I was at the game, so I will rewatch the game this week, and I will look for that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate it. We'll take another break. One last break. Come back. Get Todd. Stay right there. 402-951-1620 here on Severe Reaction on 1620 The Zone.
I'm Christy. I used to smoke cigarettes. I had smoker's cough and severe shortness of breath, and I knew I had to quit. Then I tried e-cigarettes, but I just ended up using both. I really didn't start to get better until I quit smoking completely. My tip to you is just cutting down on the number of cigarettes you smoke isn't enough.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
Vala's Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard has something fun for all ages. Come take a ride on the antique cars, where the kids are the drivers. Visit our foam ball play area called the Egg Scramble. Stop by the cider mill area where you can have a drink of refreshing apple cider and taste some deliciously good barbecue at Ethan's Applewood Smokehouse. Vala's has more than 50 other attractions included with admission, along with fireworks every Friday night at 9. Vala's, the place to visit this fall.
If you love food, love fun, love fall, you'll love Vala's Pumpkin Patch best of all.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Hey everyone, Josh and John here for the FanDuel Sportsbook. Week 4 is here, and we have a big-time matchup in the AFC North. It is Dolphins at Bills. These two teams, John, played in incredibly memorable games in 2022. Let's hope they do so again in 2023. And right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That means $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/1620.
And don't forget, you can bet not only the game, but also all the exciting player props, over-unders, and a whole lot more. And there's a whole lot of different combinations to help you make money. New customers right now get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place that first $5 bet. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com/1620. 21 plus in President, Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued with non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Nebraska Medicine and Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
But Nebraska trying to avoid their first shutout at home since 1968. Would love to do that here in the last 4.5. Fleeks gets a handoff, 30, 35, 40. Fleeks to the 50. Fleeks on the race to the 40, to the 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Joshua Fleeks. There, gets points on the board here late in the game.
Welcome back to Severe Reaction. By the way, I didn't edit that together. Greg said that, and then the play happened. So he said they needed to score to avoid the shutout first time since 68, and then the play happened, which is kind of crazy. Good timing for that. Good job by Josh Fleeks, a guy who was battled back, Came into camp a little overweight. They didn't like that, kind of sent him home. Came back, got in better shape, and then look at that, pulling away from everybody on that long run to get Nebraska on the board and avoid the shutout. Let's go back to the phones where Todd is this morning. What's up, Todd?
Michael, a long time no talk to.
How you been?
How you doing? Yeah, I tend to avoid any of the after the game shows, overreaction ones just after a loss because people just are venting,
Yeah.
But I caught your show this morning. I'm going to start listening to you now because it's pretty relaxing and a lot of good points. I mean, 45-7, but you've got to understand, we did lose a couple running back. We didn't have our fullbacks out for a couple of weeks, but the biggest loss was our general, our leading tackler. He was at breakfast. Yeah, I just found this stuff out that they had to take him to the hospital, something about an antibiotic, and then you lose your stud, your best safety, Singleton.
Yeah.
Nebraska hadn't given up a point in any drives in the first or second half to start the game, and we got off the bad start. We didn't play well, but you take out two of your heart and soul in the middle of that defense against a run. We were number one in the country, and things going to happen. So they go down and score, and then we have the unfortunate tip. We're down behind 14-0. You're kind of behind, and then you drive down there. And I agree with you. The 4th and 1 call is the head scratcher. I'd maybe sprint him outside or get two guys behind him under center and push him because that turned the game right there. Nebraska, they admitted we didn't play it well. And I flew my nephew in from Michigan. He said that's the best game that Michigan's played all year complete. Sometimes you go on the road, you're more focused, but hey, we got the next 4 games Nebraska can win, and we got to get our guys healthy and the line. We were the number 6 rushing team in the country coming in. It's not like we haven't been doing enough. We're averaging over 5 yards a carry and 100 some yards. But when you play a team like Michigan and you have that like you said, the punt, that the bounce looked like we might scoop and score that, and that bounces, he takes it for 25 yards. So we just got to regroup, got to flush this one. Short week.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get Illinois because I think if they get Illinois and get on a run here, I think the bowl is definitely right there. And I think this team, this coaching staff knows what they're doing. And I agree with you. I think if they start winning games, I do see Dylan Raiola coming back to Nebraska. I think it's a very good possibility, but we'll have to wait and see. And we just got to get behind the team and, look forward to Friday. This is a huge game and we got to have it. So
no doubt.
Really do.
All right, Todd, I appreciate the call. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. No, I agree with you. It is a huge Friday game. Every game's huge. This one is kind of a linchpin, right? You win this one, then going forward, it makes a lot of difference. You lose this one, then, who knows what happened. Real quick, Big Ten stuff. Michigan, of course, we know what happened taking care of Nebraska. Penn State At the end of the game, Northwestern's covering the game. The game's over. James Franklin calls for a fake kneel down. A fake kneel down by the quarterback. Drew Alder stands up, throws a touchdown pass to get the cover, 41-13. And people say coaches don't pay attention to the number. They were paying attention. Minnesota battled with Louisiana Lafayette, and in the end ended up winning by 11. Maryland looks great. Nebraska's going to see them, of course. Tagovailoa had a huge game. We talk about Purdue, Illinois. Rutgers big. And then Iowa loses their starting quarterback, but ends up beating Michigan State, outscoring them 13-0 in the fourth quarter. We are back here, of course, next Sunday. It'll be a delayed one because, of course, the game's on a Friday night. Thanks to Stephen M. Sipple for joining us, for Joey for producing as well. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you next week. Delayed severe reaction next week, Sunday morning, starting at 8 a.m. here on 1620 The Zone.
Let it fly. Your elevated sports bar experience. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.